Have you ever felt anxious as an entrepreneur or business owner? It's common to feel overwhelmed when you're running your own business. And today's guest, Kathy Di Giacomo, will share about how you can reduce that anxiety and feel more confident in your business and in your professional life. Now, Kathy is CEO and founder of Kathy Di Giacomo Coaching. She is a personal development and business growth strategist. She provides coaching, training, and webinars to entrepreneurs who feel lost, who feel stuck, and who just don't know how to get new clients. She helps people reconnect with their unique self and create more revenue by moving their business online where they can pursue their business dreams, work less, earn more, and build their business empire. With her 30 years of experience as an expert in nutrition, she creates a unique whole body experience for her clients that includes mental, physical, and spiritual process. Now, Kathy helps people with her unique expertise and the tools she's gained from seminary, from 10 years experience as a therapist, and from her time in dance and theater arts. She's also an accomplished author, a speaker, and a visionary entrepreneur. I am so happy to welcome Kathy to the show. Kathy, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here and excited.
Oh, wonderful. Will you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, how you came to do this particular work?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked that. My background, even prior to how I got to where I am now, is, I was raised in a pretty dysfunctional family and had some, lots of verbal abuse, lots of, words that came into my head that didn't help me out as I grew up. I mean, they weren't positive words. So I'll get into that, why that's important a little bit later. But basically, I was raised by the ocean in Southern California. And my dream was to move to the country. And that was just a big dream for me. I wanted to raise my kids in the country and just have that whole country feel.
That's
And
the opposite of what so many people want. So many people dream of moving to the ocean, but you grew up by the ocean and you wanted to move to the country.
Right. Yeah. And I, the mountains is where we ended up, in the country. And that was in the 70s. And I moved to Northern California. So that was a long jump.
A long jump. And I'd love to share with our listeners that Kathy lives now where I grew up in the foothills of Yosemite National Park, which is so cool. We have this amazing connection that we both lived in this little town at the foothills of Yosemite in the mountains.
Yeah, and it's beautiful up here. Of course, as I've gotten older, it's a little tough with the extreme heat and extreme cold, but it doesn't last too long. So it's good. So anyway, we moved up here and I wanted to homeschool my kids. So as some things that happened at school with my kids, bullying and that kind of thing, I thought, homeschooling was just becoming popular. So I started a school, Genesis Homeschool, and I ran it for 8 years and taught my 3 children all the way through high school. And I really loved it because I loved teaching, because that's what I love to do, is to teach. So it was a perfect fit for me. And then, of course, my entrepreneur side, I ran 3 businesses along. Now I think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were crazy. But I ran 3 businesses alongside homeschooling.
That's incredible. So, holy moly.
Yeah, I know. So I was very ambitious. So anyway, and I always had a passion for business. I had a passion for teaching, helping others in personal development, because I started my own personal development at a very young age. It was just attractive to me. I just loved it, just learning about myself and that kind of thing.
How did you get into personal development as a young age? What did you find that led you there?
Well, I was very intuitive. I lived a lot in my head because of the outside that was toxic around me. And
Mhm.
so I lived a lot in my head. And so when you do that, you just automatically just start, reaching out for things that are going to help you to be able to mature better. I mean, because if you don't have that direction from your parents, then you kind of have to learn for yourself. And so
That's right.
that kind of started my journey of personal development. And now I'm in love with that because it's so powerful, and it's brought me to places that I never would have gotten to before, and successes that would have never gotten to before. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's incredible too, Kathy. What really stands out to me about this is that you had this external environment that was painful and it sounds like abusive, and that you found a way, a resource to help you, even as a young kid, to help you cope with that, and that that has built a foundation for what you do now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Huh.
So, so, where was I?
Yeah,
Uh,
so I keep interrupting you because your story's so interesting. You were
yeah,
telling us about how you discovered just working on yourself even as a kid, and that opens up some doors for you.
okay, yeah. And then the other thing that I didn't mention is that my grandmother, who raised me till I was 9, she was really into nutrition and health. So I was like her little guinea pig, which later on in the years I kind of made myself that, just by finding and researching ways to heal my body and give it what it needs instead of going the route of prescriptions and all that stuff. So for 30 years, I did that. I did natural health training, motivating, helping those with mental, physical, and spiritual, and codependent recovery counseling. And that, of course, showed up because I myself was a codependent. Of course, I married into a codependent relationship. So as a result, I had to be in recovery myself 25 years just to be able to manage, and that's another way of going inside myself, learning how to deal with the outside environment, with the outside toxic people. And that just saved my life. It really did. And so
Mm.
now, of course, I can offer that to others.
That's incredible. I always think that when someone is coaching or offering a service, that they truly understand. They've walked through that dark night. They've had those experiences. It's so meaningful for your clients because they can know that you get it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we had a tragedy happen in around when I was like around 45. And I was running businesses and homeschooling my kids. So my husband and I were in a business together. He did the outside work, I did the inside work. Excuse me. And so he had an accident and fell 18 feet and
Oh,
crushed his heels. And so there I was. How am I going to run the business? With him not being able to be out in the field.
oh no.
So as things, they were really hard for a while because we had teenage kids, and it's hard anyway, having
Mm.
teenagers. Um, but so I had to pretty much make a life decision and say, okay, now what am I going to do? Here I am almost 50, and I don't work. I don't have any income. So that's when I started getting my degrees, and I started with my GED. Then I moved into my AA, BA, and master's. And I did all that with the crazy aftermath going on from the accident. But for some reason, the stuff that was going on just fueled me. It made me feel empowered, you know. And so that's why I really can help others who've been in those situations or are in them, because you can allow it to make you feel empowered and move you forward into things that maybe you would have never succeeded at before. So
Wow, that's fascinating. What do you think is helpful for entrepreneurs who do feel overwhelmed with so many things going on? How can they ignite that fire that you experienced to help them move forward?
Well, just from everything that I've taught and everything that I've done and getting current with what's been going on in our world, um, fear and anxiety are around imposter syndrome. So people try to start a business, and of course, coming from the workplace and coming into an environment of online, they kind of feel like a phony, like this isn't really me, but yet they're trying to make it work. So then comes the thoughts of limiting beliefs, that they aren't good enough, that they can't earn enough money, or they don't deserve to earn the money. So that's where I come in with some of my trainings to help them kind of do the inner work, the personal development work and the inner work around those negative and limiting beliefs to help them be able to be more successful.
And are those the primary ways that you see fear and anxiety showing up for entrepreneurs and business owners? Or are there other ways that you notice those fears and anxieties coming up as well?
Well, right now, the fear and anxiety itself, if we want to focus on that, can cause them to not even be able to function, let alone try to start a business. And if they can't function, that means they can't even go to work, because it's very disabling. I mean, I had panic and anxiety attacks when I was 30. And I finally got through those, but then as time moved on, I still had the anxiety that I had to deal with, but on a lower level. So I've taught myself a lot of ways to deal with that anxiety and the fear.
And are those techniques that you teach to your clients now? Those techniques that you used for yourself?
Right. Yes. And the way I teach them is by ebooks, which actually I'm giving the main one away today.
Oh my goodness, what a gift.
Yeah. And it's basically the 4 keys. I wrote this book, I don't know, a few years back, because I just thought, people need step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 on how to change their thinking. Because you can tell someone, well, your thinking is negative, or you need to change your thinking. They're like, great, how do I do that? Because they think that whatever they think they can't control it. It just comes. And that, of course, that creates the anxiety because they can't control the negative thinking. So basically, I use ebooks, charts, documents, and help clients learn how to change their thinking from negative to positive. And which all goes back to your upbringing, your childhood, your high school, what kind of things people were saying to you. And I've learned over the years that sometimes people that are really sweet and kind, they're the ones that get it the worst, unfortunately. They get the bullying, which I'm going to get into next. But so we look at women. We have webinars that we can look at to create things to address the inner bully. And so the inner bully is a really big thing, because an inner bully is it's like not a physical bully, like you go to school and you get bullied, they do things to you, or try to control you, or try to, touch you or whatever. But an inner bully, they say that verbal abuse is actually worse than physical abuse. And so the inner bully, he's a mean guy. And, we all have it, that tells us we're stupid, we can't do something. And if we don't know that we can change those thoughts, we just believe it.
Yeah.
And then we can't do anything.
Where would you say that inner bully comes from? Do you believe that's a voice that's learned, or that those beliefs, those thoughts are learned from childhood experiences?
Oh yeah. And especially if you've been raised in a toxic environment, we don't actually compartmentalize anything until we're after 6. So, if you're a little baby and you're born into that, all the way through your age 6, you don't know what's happening. All you know is that you feel like those words that come to you, and so it's
But
really
that's just the
hard.
truth, huh?
Yeah,
That's
right,
reality. Yeah. And when we're
right.
little like that, because we're the way our brains work, that we're the center of the universe, because that's just how
Hmm.
our brains are designed to work when we're little like that. So of course, anything bad that happens or any words, that must be our fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the bully is different than a physical bully because they it's just the words, the mean words. Um, and that's why the foundation for that is to stop those words, change your limiting beliefs. And that's why I wrote this ebook, 4 Keys to Stop Burnout and Change Limiting Beliefs for Success.
So that sounds amazing, that there's this tool that you've developed. So those thoughts that happen inside that you're identifying as the inner bully, those painful thoughts that we have about ourselves or about our place in the world, that there's a way to shift that. Can
Mhm.
you tell us a little bit about those keys or those techniques? How does somebody shift that internal dialogue?
Yeah, yeah, thanks for asking. So the first key is to think on purpose, and a lot of people, they kind of look at you sideways when you say that because they think they have no choice. Well, but thoughts just come into my head and I can't do anything about it. And so the first thing is to think on purpose. We talk about emotions and feelings and how to handle them because feelings go along with all this. Because if you feel a certain way and then something negative is being said to you, you can feel pretty crummy. Um, so, how to not listen to your feelings is what we focus on, that they tell us not to let them tell us what we think. So, that's kind of the foundation of our thinking is our
Do you,
feelings.
do you have a tool for how to do that? How can you like if I was having a feeling and it was affecting what I think about myself, how can I shift that? Do you have a little nugget for us of how we might be able to do that?
Well, I do. And that's where I'm going to get to that with the 4 keys, because that's
Oh,
the first
cool.
key. And that's what the book does. It actually lays it out in steps. So the first key is what they focus on that I just read. And then now they're going to go to the next number 2 tool,
Oh,
the new thoughts. Okay. How do you get new thoughts? Okay. You face down the thoughts, you face down the feelings. Now, how do you get those new thoughts? And so I use an automatic thought record, which in therapy circles, you can call it CBT. And it's a way of changing your thinking. It analyzes your feelings and thoughts and how they work together. So it's actually a chart with a box, where you can actually start over here. How did I feel? How did it make me think? And then
mm.
you can re-examine it again after you've shifted a little in the next column. And so basically you kind of take it through all these columns. And when you get to the end, your thinking has actually been shifted and you don't know it. You don't realize it because you've been examining each column as you go
Ah,
through.
so it's teaching you to pay attention, to bring consciousness to what's happening internally.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, amazing. And anytime I've noticed that, both as a therapist and a speaking coach, that anytime we bring attention to something, that you pay attention and you bring consciousness and awareness, already there's a shift happening simply because
Uh-huh.
you're paying attention.
That's true. That's
Mm.
true. I mean, that's really the whole crux of recovery from codependency is your thinking, and
Mm.
focusing on what you're doing with your behavior and your thinking, which most of the time people are focused on the other person and they're ignoring themselves. And I always tell everybody, when you're pointing to somebody else, how many fingers are pointing back at you? you know
Yeah, that's great.
so it's a good
That's
way to.
Well, in your thought record, that's such a great tool, that it's an actionable strategy that you can use to look inside. I think so many people, if they haven't learned how to do that, they don't know how. And so in this book, you're really giving us a tangible technique to use to be able to do that. That's wonderful.
Well, actually, it's not in the book, but there are some other tools in the book that I'm going to go into next.
Okay.
Once you get that straightened around with that chart, and you've gotten your thoughts in line the way they should be, then you learn to speak affirmations. And that kind of solidifies the art of getting those thoughts out of your head and putting new thoughts in by using affirmations. And so in the third section of the book, I teach on how to get the opposite of the negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And affirmations are a great way to do that. And, you know, a lot of people, when you say an affirmation, they don't really know how to do one. You'd be surprised at all the people that I come across, and they have no clue what to do or what it is. So this kind of walks you through how to make an affirmation. So to change your thinking, one of the affirmations that work and I put it in the book to help people. And there's actually, this is a kind of book that gives you the 4 steps. And then at the end, it actually gives you homework to try out yourself.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
you read about it, and then you can actually do the homework.
That's great.
Figure it out.
What I love about this too, Kathy, is I think so often people hear about affirmations and they try them and they find that they don't work because there's something that's, you know, if you're trying to instill a new belief, but there's another belief that's blocking it from coming in, an affirmation is going to kind of fall flat. But what you're recommending, and this path, this journey that you've laid out for people, that you're doing the preliminary work before you're connecting to the affirmation so that you're making room for the affirmation to actually take hold, to take root.
Yes. And most importantly, you're changing that belief first. So when you say the affirmation, you're not going, oh, yeah, right. You know, you're actually believing, oh, okay, this is true now, you know, because I'm saying it. So one of the ones that I like to give people is, I hold myself in high regard despite my imperfections and limits.
Ooh, can you read that for us one more time?
I hold myself in high regard despite my imperfections and limits.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah. And so then I go on to teach them how to get to that affirmation, you know, how to actually make it work, you know.
Yes.
And, so
what an incredible process. Wow. This is very life-changing to be able to put these things into practice. And I can see how it has the potential to completely shift how somebody feels and believes about themselves.
And I encourage them to, you know, not just go through the 4 steps once. And it's going to be a lifelong thing, you know, especially if you had a lot of bullying thoughts going on in your head, you know, and you want to change those.
Yes, you know, I just interviewed Edie I always say her last name wrong, Edie de Belvis. I might have said her last name wrong, but I just interviewed her and she shared with us this incredible process for how to bring in self-care into your life, but a little bit at a time. And I think that this book and these tools that you're giving us are such a nice companion to that, because if this is something that resonates, if you're listening, if this is something that resonates with you, go back and listen to Edie's episode, and you can use these techniques in tandem of taking these tools that Kathy's giving you and just adding a little piece every day so that this becomes a lifelong practice of how to change how the relationship you have to yourself.
Yeah, that's really important. I focus a lot on self-care in a lot of my trainings, and I wrote in the ebook on self-care. So yeah, it's part of the puzzle. Definitely.
Yeah. And that this is a lifelong practice that really stood out to me, because so often I find that people, they have this hope that, you know, I can just do this thing once and then it's going to change things. And unfortunately, that often doesn't happen. That it does need to be something that you see. It's like brushing your teeth, that it's something to go to on a regular basis, that it becomes kind of like the drumbeat of your life that you do over and over and over again. And that's where the change really happens.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like, in a way, that I've been gifted the situation. Even though I grew up in a toxic environment and I married into a toxic environment, I kind of feel like I've been gifted because it keeps you on your toes.
Mm.
You know, if you have negative words coming at you, you have to fight to get those words to change to positive, to believe in yourself.
Wow.
So in a way, it was a gift to me, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next key is believe.
Ooh.
So, and that's the key. You have to believe the new thinking. You can say affirmations all day long, but if you don't believe the new thinking and the new thoughts that come into your head you're trying to change, nothing's going to work. Thoughts and words create your reality, and your words tell the universe what you want. And this is something that is hard for some people sometimes, because they're like, oh, you know, you say it out loud and it's going to happen to you. You know, I'm like, yeah, it's scientifically proven.
Wow. Is it? Is there
It
research
is.
that shows that?
There's research, yes. And I don't have it here, but I actually do teach a class called Art and Science of Transformation that goes more in depth as to the scientific, you know.
Oh, how
statements.
cool.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to take that class, is that available through your website, or how would they find that class?
Yeah, it's on my website. There's drop downs on there for courses, classes, free resources. It's all up on the top on the right side. So
And what is your website? Will you share that?
Yeah, it's just my name, KathyDiGiacomo.com.
And that is spelled KathyDiGiacomo.
Exactly.
It'll also
Yeah.
be in the show notes, so don't worry if you didn't get the spelling. But that course just sounds so cool. I wanted to make sure that if somebody wants to take that they know where to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes more into detail about that. So, and lastly, the fourth key, create a positive attitude. Creating a positive attitude by incorporating gratitude lists into your daily activities. This is huge. People don't realize how important it is to be thankful, you know, and I teach to every day when you get up to write down 5 things you're thankful for. And the trick to it is they can't be the same 5 things every day.
Ooh, yeah. Makes it a little harder.
So that makes you think.
It does. Yeah. And I can see too how it expands and broadens your gratitude, because it forces you to look further and deeper into what in your life and your experiences are you grateful for.
Right. And this one is also scientifically proved because it brings hormones and chemicals like serotonin and those things up to your brain that make you happy and make you have euphoria. And so, you know, that's really a good thing to do in the morning if you want to have a good day.
Yes, get those chemicals flowing early.
Yes. Yeah. So puts you in a positive mood, you know, positive. And then there's other affirmations you can say, you know, about your day. Something good is going to happen to me today, instead of, you know, waking up and dreading, oh, what's going to happen to me today.
Yes, I just listened to a TED Talk talking about some research where people had to sing a song, and they either told themselves, I'm nervous, or they told themselves, I'm excited. And the ones who told themselves I'm nervous, I can't remember the exact stats, but it was something like the data said that about 60% of them, or 40 to 60% did the song accurately. But the ones who told themselves I'm excited, there was 80% of those were able to sing the song accurately.
There you go. That's exactly it. Yeah.
That's terrific. Would you give us a quick recap, step by step, of the 4 keys? Would you just very briefly, high level, tell us again?
Okay. Yeah. Pardon me if I'm scrolling through, but I haven't.
Yeah, maybe I can even say it and tell me if I've got it right. So the first one is to examine your emotions and the thoughts. Is that right?
Yeah, to think on purpose. Yeah.
To think on purpose.
Yeah.
And then the second one is there's a form that you have to help people notice their thoughts.
The second one is new thoughts. Use automatic thought record. Yes, you're right. Automatic
Okay.
thought record to analyze feelings and thoughts and how they work together.
So
Yeah.
think on purpose, new thought, and then
Mhm.
affirmations.
And number 3 is believe.
Believe.
But new thinking and thoughts and words create reality. And so
Okay.
you want to believe the new thoughts so you can move on to the affirmations, which I think is the next one.
Excellent. And then the fourth key is the affirmations and gratitude.
Create a positive attitude.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And that's it? Awesome. Wow, I just love that. So thinking about all of this wonderful value that you've shared today, Kathy, if there was just one thing that a listener took away, what would you want it to be?
Well, I think how by changing your thinking about what you believe and who you are, you can become confident and overcome any obstacle. Because it's very powerful when you get to that place. And you can create anything you want for your life that's truly a dream. Maybe it's something that you've dreamed of. And I even go into, goals and that kind of thing in a lot of my courses. You want to write them down. You want to make sure that you're looking at them every day. But this is what's going to move you towards those dream and goals that you're writing down.
Wow.
And you can learn the value and honor yourself enough to feel loved and cherished and invest in yourself.
Amazing. So these are truly transformative practices.
Yes.
They can change your life.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And I know you mentioned your website, but you also have a free quiz for our listeners as well. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And what is the quiz? What will people find out if they take that quiz?
Well, it's like it focuses on changes you want in your life, changes you may want in your business. So there's kind of 4 or 5 boxes of questions, and you answer them, and then you can score yourself and kind of see, well, where am I in my goals? Where am I in what I want to do in life? And then at the end, you can come on, you can book a conversation with me. It comes to my inbox, so I can actually, you can tell me you want to talk about it, and we can just kind of talk about, what your quiz came up with and how you can improve it.
Cool. So this is a quiz that's like a temperature read, kind of tells you where you are with your goals, and maybe even gives you an idea of where the gap is.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And that quiz, can you give us the link for that quiz?
Yeah, the quiz link, I think it's
Here,
New
I have
Life.
it. Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
newlife-bizquiz.com.
Yes, New Life.
Right.
So NEWLIFE and then a dash BIZQUIZ.com, newlife-bizquiz.com. So go and check that out. And of course, Kathy has created this amazing booklet that she's been talking about all through this episode with these 4 keys. So the 4 keys she laid out, that you can have access to those in this incredible book that she is gifting. She's gifting you, which is wonderful. And so we're going to have the link to that in the show notes. So make sure you check out the show notes, and you'll be able to download that book as a gift, as Kathy's gift to you. Is there anything you want to say about that book? Else you want to say about the book, Kathy?
No, just that, like I said, there's an actual transition at the end where you can actually practice what you read about. So I think that's really important.
Yes, absolutely. It's one thing to read it. It's a whole nother thing to do it.
Yes,
That's where the transformation happens.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, what a gift it's been to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and these very actionable tools and techniques to use and take away.
Thank you for having me. I love teaching. So it's really fun to just be able to help people and, help them change their lives and look forward to a new life, and especially with what we've been through the last few years.
That's right. This is the time we all need it. We all need your services and your courses. And I can tell that you have a passion for teaching. You're so wonderful at breaking down information.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
So thank you again. And I can't wait to download your book and read it for myself.
Okay, good.